Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. The Barefoot Contessa is a 1954 American drama film that was written and directed by Joseph Mankiewicz about the life and the loves of a fictional Spanish sex symbol named Maria Vargas. It stars Humphrey Bogart, Ava Gardner, and Edmund O'Brien. The film's very slow-paced plot focuses on social positioning and high-powered politics within the world of film and high society. For his performance, O'Brien won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, and Mankiewicz, the director and writer, was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. The majority of the film is explained by Harry Dawes, played by Humphrey Bogart, narrating the events that happened, and additional sections were narrated by Oscar Muldoon, played by O'Brien. The storyline goes that at Maria Vargas's funeral, several people recall who she was and the impact that she had on them. Harry Dawes was not a very successful writer-director when he and movie producer Kirk Edwards scouted her at a shabby nightclub that she worked as a dancer. He convinces her to take a chance on acting, and her first film was a huge hit. PR man Oscar Muldoon remembers when Maria was in court supporting her father, who had been accused of murdering her mother, and it was Maria's testimony that got him off, and she was a bigger star than ever. Roberto Bravano, one of the richest men in South Africa, sets his sights on Maria, and she goes off with him, as much to make Edwards angry as anything, but he treats her badly. She then meets Count Vincenzo, and they fall deeply in love. They are married, but theirs is not to be a happy life. Now, the lead, Ava Gardner, was under contract at MGM, where the director, Joseph Mankiewicz, had just made Julius Caesar in 1953, and he had burned a few bridges while he was there. When he approached them about borrowing Ava Gardner, they stuck him for $200,000, twice what he was paying for Humphrey Bogart, plus 10% of the gross. All in all, Gardner ended up costing the director $1 million, while MGM only had to pay her contracted weekly salary, which came to $60,000. It's said that actress Linda Darnell, who was deeply in love with the director, hoped that he would keep the Maria Vargas character open for her. And after it was given to Ava, she considered it one of the biggest deceptions that ever happened in her entire life. Her relationship with the director ceased soon after that. At first, Edmund O'Brien wasn't sure about taking this supporting role, as he at that time was getting star billing. But Humphrey Bogart sat down with him and convinced him that the role and he would be a perfect match, and it would make the film pop off the screen. The director wanted James Mason, who he had directed in the film Julius Caesar, for the part of the nobleman, but MGM executives, who he had a poor relationship with, wouldn't release Mason for the film. He ended up with Rossano Brazzi, who he felt couldn't act and couldn't be sensual at all, and to top it off, could hardly speak English. In an ironic twist to this, Rosemary Matthews was hired to help Brazzi with his English during the film, and the director later on went on to marry her. Changes were made to the film just days before the movie's New York opening. These were required after Howard Hughes had learned that the character of Kirk Edwards bore striking similarities to him, and he threatened to sue the production. Ava Gardner, after filming, said that Humphrey Bogart was not easy to work with because he argued about everything. But although they had good chemistry on the screen, off-screen Bogart wasn't particularly impressed with her as an actress at all. He commented that she gave him nothing to work with when they were performing together. The statue of Ava Gardner used in the film was done by a Bulgarian artist and is a center point in the movie. After the film concluded, Frank Sinatra bought this statue and installed it in the garden of his Coldwater Canyon home. I looked up to try to find out where this statue was now, and nobody seems to know. It's thought that it got broken into pieces in a fit of rage. The deathbed confessions of star Ava Gardner reveal stories of her life of booze, affairs, and stardom. At the time later in her life, she was broke and alone, and usually drunk. This one-time Hollywood goddess felt like she had two choices to make ends meet, that she could write a book or sell all her jewelry. But she loved the jewels, so she didn't go that route. At this time in her life, in 1988, she was ravaged by the consumption of booze and cigarettes, and she had also recently had a stroke. At the time, she called British journalist Peter Evans and asked him to ghostwrite her memoirs. These memoirs were full of shocking revelations, starting out with her first husband, Mickey Rooney. She talked about how he was such a womanizer that he cheated on her in their marital bed while she was in the hospital recovering from an appendectomy. You got to realize at this time, she was considered the most beautiful woman in the world. She said he went through ladies like a hot knife through fudge. She later went on to marry band leader Artie Shaw. She considered him a bully, and he was always putting her down. And then she married Frank Sinatra, who had left his wife for her. Sinatra knew it was true love on their first date, when they went out for a late-night drunken drive from Palm Springs to Indio, and they shot streetlights out in the town and store windows with a pair of .38s that Sinatra kept in his glove compartment. They divorced in 1957, but remained close for the rest of their lives. And when Gardner pulled out of completing these memoirs, it's thought that Sinatra gave her the money that she would have gotten from the book's release. She eventually died in 1990 at the age of 67 from pneumonia. Go back and watch this movie from the early 50s. It's a really good film. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.